Hello, one and all. Hope you're all doing well. Been a while since the last stream. First one of the new year. Interesting times as well. Bit of a strange market for crypto. Keeping a keen eye on a few stocks as well. And yeah, a keen eye on gold and silver as well. Don't quite have as much as I would like to at the moment, but kind of want to be in crypto at the moment. So yeah, drop a hello and a comment in the chat. We'll see how we're doing. All eyes seems to be on Facebook or Meta platforms at the minute. Looking rather cheap. It's not one that I've sort of generally looked at. I even put in my doomsday list from memory that I wouldn't even buy this, but yeah, they're sort of shifting focus a little bit, sort of moving a little bit more towards crypto potentially even. Seems to be a lot of people are sort of pricing in this being dead money basically. The sort of 10 billion a year I think they're spending. Still not entirely sure what they're sort of hoping to achieve. Whether they sort of want to be a platform that people develop games and sort of other things on, and sort of you would hang out in their hub. But yeah, it seems like there's sort of going to be lots and lots of competitors where sort of their normal Facebook and Instagram platforms and that sort of thing kind of have pretty much a monopoly, where the crypto space is very competitive. So very interesting to see what they're doing, but you don't generally see these sort of growth stocks at sort of forward PE 16.5. And it's moving about. These aren't necessarily up-to-date figures. That was based on a market cap of 647 billion, and they're now already at 590. So yeah, you're in the 15 PEs. So very interesting times. Looking at Google as well. Always keeping an eye on them. The short-lived bump in price due to the earnings hasn't seemed to have lasted a huge amount. That's basically all gone now. Yep, so they are below. So before the earnings day, they were 2,757. They're now $7 below that. So it seems like you do have to absolutely knock out of the park to make the price hold at the moment. So it's very choppy market, even though the Nasdaq isn't sort of dropping all that much. What are we at? Normally look at the Nasdaq 100, but the composite will do. So yeah, not too bad. Still a fair bit down from Christmas. We got, hello James. How do you feel about knowing stocks on 212 owned by interactive brokers? Well, they're a parent company, aren't they? I can't see any sort of real issue with that. I think there's sort of brokers, some of the US brokers I think are owned by sort of big banks and larger institutions. Sort of feel better really knowing that 212 aren't sort of going it alone. They're backed by Interactive Brokers, sort of one of the biggest brokers in the world, sort of on some metrics the biggest. So yeah, kind of fine with those. But I am looking to have Interactive Brokers themselves probably as my second broker when they open proper transfers. Hello, compounding investor. I see in the comments. If you started investing again from scratch today, would you still choose shares and crypto? Well, I mean, yeah, I never chose to invest 50-50 in crypto. Obviously, I sort of invested a long while ago and it's become 50-50. So at the time, when I bought the Bitcoin, I actually had about £40,000 cash offsetting my mortgage. So it was effectively earning 2.8%. And over the course of sort of 6 months, I put in about £2,000 into crypto. So I was 95% cash and 5% crypto. And then just over the years, that sort of grew and grew, got into stocks, and it sort of ended up 50-50. But yeah, if I had, starting with £20,000 or something, however much you want to pick, I don't think I would invest sort of 50-50 of new money into crypto. I do think it's, especially now, it's a risky space now, and sort of the potential of the sort of 50, 100 times your money is sort of largely gone unless you're going to get in very risky coins. So I would probably essentially do the same. Instead of the cash that I had in my offset mortgage, I would just put a lot, sort of probably the majority in stocks, and have some in crypto, and sort of hope and probably expect that over time that would end up growing to maybe close to 50-50 again. Hello, Bartlemy. When did you start investing, and how did you manage to amass such a sizable portfolio? Yeah, so that is sort of going back to the same thing, really. So about 2013, I bought quite a bit of Bitcoin, and that sort of grew and grew. I also live alone at the moment, so sort of disposable income is quite high, so I've always put a fair amount away. So started investing in started investing in stocks about 2019, but already had sort of 40 or 50,000 pound in cash that I'd sort of saved up over the previous sort of 10 years. And all that while the crypto was sort of growing away, and started to sort of really pile up 2019 to 2020 time. Or in the sort of 2017 crypto bull run, it did go to sort of, the portfolio went to about 200,000. I sold about 15 grand, and then it all crashed down again. I was sort of expecting, a little bit naive, expecting just higher and higher prices. So kind of lesson learnt there, to take a bit more profit at the time. But yeah, so that obviously went down again, went down to 30 grand, I think. And then sort of got into stocks. Both started rising again, crypto and stocks. Then we sort of came into the pandemic, and not long after that I started the channel, and the sort of first video is where you saw the portfolios there. Sort of one video on each. I think they were, so sort of about just over a year and a half ago, they were both at about 80 grand. And sort of I put in about £1,000 a month since then, so it's not a great deal of new money really going into it. They've just grown reasonably well themselves. So yeah, just looking a bit further back at the Nasdaq. I mean, I know this is being sort of propped up by the fangs, obviously, and the big tech stocks, but I do think people sort of talking about this as if it's a severe bear market, unless I guess we see more of the sort of fangs coming down, then this probably isn't going to come down as much as you might think. But yeah, I mean, this is still sort of far less than even the well, this isn't in log scale, so can I change that to percentage? Well, no, that's still not log scale. Logarithmic, there we go. Yes, so if you look at the what we've had in terms of percentage drop, it's nothing really compared to what we've had before. You can see there the sort of pandemic drop compared to what we've had, not a lot. And sort of, if I stay there and zoom out a little bit more, that can compare then to the sort of 2008 crash. So you've got a huge drop there over sort of a year and a half compared to this tiny little drop. So potentially, if we are going into a bear market with all the interest rates tapering and all the usual, if this sort of anomaly is not counted as a bear market, then it's been 12 years, 13 years since the last bear market. So yeah, not meaning to be super bearish, but could be potentially something coming. Not to say, as I say, I'm not one for getting out of the market just because that is coming. I kind of think diversify, have some things that would protect yourself, like gold and silver, and potentially even crypto. I still think it'll probably crash if we do get a hardcore bear market, but similar to gold, maybe it might be the first one to sort of come back, spring back into life. But yeah, I think diversify and sort of stay pretty much 100% invested. I'm not one for holding back cash, waiting for a bear market. Just sort of think, look back in history at sort of what happens and prepare yourself, know that it might come. And then don't panic when it happens. Hello, Adam. Really enjoy your channel and the transparency. Yeah, no problem. I mean, as I say, I sort of just see if it's interesting to everybody. It's partly sort of just just for my own benefit, really. You can sort of look back at them and see your own attitude from sort of a year or two ago when I was a little bit less experienced. Yeah, sort of nice reminder to how things have progressed. Look at the portfolios sort of from a year and a half ago, see how things have changed. Yeah, keeping an eye on the silver price as well. Certainly thinking if we stay sort of at these levels or a bit lower, possibly buying some more if we get a crypto rise. Sort of wondering what to spend the crypto money on if we are starting to go up somewhat. I don't get too excited at $43,000. Still sort of looking for probably 70,000 to start averaging out again. That was sort of pretty much when we got to 69,000. I was sort of waiting to start averaging out, and that was the top of the time, which was a shame. But yeah, I still think we can get there this year. Still very impressed with a lot of the development that's going on. So yeah, kind of always said it might be Q1 this year, maybe Q2 this year. So, as I say, if we're getting towards the end of Q2 and sort of still nowhere, floundering around where we are, then maybe start to get a little concerned. But I can't imagine that we just are up and down until that sort of time. I would think we're either going to go up or we're going to get into a proper bear market. So we'll see how things go. Does seem like some of the other coins are sort of doing a little better. Bitcoin sort of obviously larger market caps, a little bit more stable. Ethereum, you still can't moan at really. I mean, last year, what did we do? So 2022. Yeah, so we're about 3.6 times. Yeah, 3.6 times your money. Can't complain at that. And then so obviously the drop coming into the new year, but yeah, can't complain at that. 2020 sort of including the initial crash. I mean, it looks tiny there, the pandemic crash. But to think we were at $165 Ethereum. Obviously the big pump in the new year, but before that even $730. So is that 4.5 times your money? Just got to stay patient and wait for these things to pan out. Compounding investor. Thoughts on windfall taxes on Shell and BP in the light of their awesome profits? Yeah, I've seen a little bit of news on this. I do think it's a little harsh. I mean, the government aren't sort of piling money to them when things are rough. So it seems a little harsh to be taxing them just because they've made profit. I mean, there's a lot of companies that make an awful lot of profit in various times and they don't suddenly get a one-off tax. You know, obviously the big FANG stocks the last sort of couple of years have made immense profits and you don't get a tech tax. So, yeah, just because it's evil, dirty oil and gas, I can't see why you suddenly hit them with a huge tax. I mean, if they're obviously trying to push their renewables investments, so you could maybe put something in place to ensure that money is spent on sort of pushing the green projects rather than, I mean, you don't want them to be investing too much in sort of oil and gas exploration as such. Really just want or I want at least, the sort of capital to maintain them and keep the cash flow running in and using the profits to sort of invest further in renewables. But yeah, as far as taxing them and just having that in the government kitty, I think it's a bit rich, really. Who do you model your investment style on, and where do you get most of your stock investment ideas? I'm not sure I sort of model myself particularly on certain people. I would say I'm more of a value investor. Sort of keep an eye on a lot of the sort of big successful investors. Quite like the sort of Ray Dalio approach of his sort of investing in multiple high, I guess, risk-reward possibilities at a time. So if you sort of have your value stocks, there's sort of less risk of downside and sort of a high potential for a return. So that's a good risk reward. Bitcoin and crypto obviously is high risk but very high reward. Gold and silver potentially over the years has pretty much kept pace with the stock market for me. So yeah, sort of diversifying into lots of different investment opportunities, if you like, and asset classes that you think all over time would have a decent risk reward, and they sort of dampen down the volatility while still sort of giving you a decent return. That's sort of a terrible explanation probably, but yeah, Ray Dalio's sort of done a little 5-minute video with a sort of whiteboard. If you want to look it up, can't remember what it's called, but it's the sort of reducing risk and outperforming sort of video. He sort of explains it quite well. If you add loads and loads of diversification, it doesn't really gain that much benefit, but sort of a certain amount does sort of help the portfolio and dampen down the volatility at the same time. So yeah, I quite like that approach. Sort of follow other big investors, people like sort of Stanley Druckenmiller. He doesn't sort of come out with too much anymore. He's sort of more a private guy, but I quite like his views on sort of the macro economy and markets, but don't really agree with his style. He's sort of, the way he comes across anyway, he sort of preaches very high concentration. Sort of phrases, put all your eggs in one basket and watch the basket very closely. I suppose you could say my crypto allocation is almost that. It's not recommended to have sort of 50% in crypto, but yeah, could say I'm doing that. Paying less attention probably to my stocks recently. Kind of letting them do their own thing and sort of watching crypto very closely. But yeah, getting sort of most of my ideas, I would say, sort of get quite a lot from the Discord recently. The mostly in the sort of Paul Briscoe Discord. Quite good, sort of hundreds and hundreds of people there, sort of always talking about the stocks of the time. And yeah, various things. Did anyone influence or persuade you to buy Bitcoin in 2013? What was the final thing that made you pull the trigger? I've been trying to think about this. People have sort of asked me, and I can't really remember in 2013 sort of what happened. There must have been, I mean, I want to say it probably would have been YouTube in some way. Would have started, for whatever reason, the videos I was watching were getting me recommended cryptocurrency, because none of my mates were into it at the time. Nobody at work would have been into it at the time. So yeah, I can only imagine, obviously being sort of 9 years ago, it is a little bit hard to remember, almost to pinpoint one thing, but I would imagine it would have been sort of recommendations from YouTube if I was watching any sort of money-based videos. That was sort of a couple of years before I was looking to move out, so I was doing sort of research on interest rates and sort of the economy, sort of thinking about house prices and that sort of thing. So yeah, maybe I was getting lumped in that bracket sort of with finance and that sort of thing, and you start getting recommended some videos on YouTube about crypto, also sort of gold and silver as well. So I was sort of around that time, I think I bought sort of first little dippings into gold and silver, and sort of the general views of gold and silver fans and crypto fans. They generally hold it for the same reasons, really. It's sort of central bank monetary debasement and money printing, basically. So you have unprintable assets. Obviously, there's a fair old divide between the gold and silver world and the crypto world, but essentially that is why a lot of the investors in both are invested. So I think we have more in common with sort of the gold and silver community than we do differences. So yeah, I would say probably back then it was YouTube. You just got to know to sort of follow the right people, really, and not get sort of sucked in by the money grabbers and all the sort of people that come along after it. There's always, remember the sort of BitConnect videos endlessly. As you start watching Bitcoin, you get recommended all the pump and dump stuff, the Dogecoin videos, the BitConnect videos, scam videos, and yeah, it's sort of knowing to tune all of that stuff out. But yeah, if you see the space growing, then you sort of make up your own mind, and yeah, I bought in. When it was down, obviously, there was times that you wonder. So I bought 2013. Can I get the chart up here? So I sort of bought Is it going to give me back to 2013? Yeah, just about. So I was buying round about here. Well, yeah, no, more sort of here. Up to about $500, I think. I think the last one I bought was sort of about $500, and then sort of very quickly after that it sort of went to in the thousands. I didn't sell any, didn't really even know what was going on, and then sort of obviously had quite a fair bit of downturn. So throughout sort of 2014 and 2015 you thought, well, that was nice, but is it a dead investment? So for sort of most of this, pretty much all of 2015, to be honest, I was down on my money, probably about £500 down on a £2,000 investment. So kind of silly figures these days, but yeah, you sort of sat around thinking, do I cut my losses, take my 500 quid loss, and yeah, run away? But decided not to. Obviously that's gone quite well. When you when you look at the 2017 sort of bull run, not in log scale, and you see the that sort of pump after I bought, it does look a little silly. Doesn't quite sort of dwarf it as much with the recent bull run, but yeah, that was the sort of 2017 where I didn't sell enough. Could have been in a much nicer position now, but you learn. So yes, what do we think of some of the tech stocks? It does seem very strange, sort of companies of this size trading at far, far lower sort of PEs than sort of a lot of even the high growth stocks, really. I mean, your sort of AMDs and your Nvidias and that sort of thing. I don't think they're sort of rocketing too much ahead of Alphabet in growth terms, in percentage growth per year, sort of revenue and what little profits they do have, and whether they really have that much more potential, I'm not sure. I think they're sort of obviously growing, but are they growing at sort of significantly more than Alphabet? They'll give you their sort sort of projections on here. If you go to the analysis bit, always take these with a pinch of salt. 27% growth per annum for the next 5 years, but some of them are sort of ridiculous figures. But yeah, to be at sort of 20, 25 forward PE after this sort of little drop. I don't know what they're at now. That was on, yeah, so they're a little bit lower even than that, sort of just under 25 PE, and that's trailing PE. So yeah, when you've got sort of things like what we got, Procter and Gamble at 28, 27.7 forward PE, which, yeah, the revenues are more stable, but 66 billion, 67 billion, 70 billion, they're just not growing. They're growing a little bit more in the last year, but I don't really understand these. I think sort of on a like-for-like PE basis, why wouldn't you want to hold Google? Obviously, Procter and Gamble have got a lot more debt. Google, can't remember whether they were taking on debt or not. I mean, looking at Facebook, they haven't taken on any. I think from memory, Google had a little. So 28 billion in total debt. Hardly the end of the world compared to 140 billion in cash. So yeah, knock that off and you're basically knocking off 110 billion from the market cap. Even total liabilities, 107 billion. So just crazy. It's probably be one of the, if we do start to sort of either get much more of a downturn or we get crypto sort of rocketing up, I think this would be one that I'd be looking to go into. Maybe more so than Facebook, even though Facebook are very cheap, but just more sort of convinced by Google's sort of monopoly, if you like. I do think they are kind of a monopoly. They're always going to try and say they're not, but yeah, certain aspects of it at least. YouTube's basically got very little competition. Obviously Google search and ads and all that sort of thing, I think they've got reasonable position. There's ads on Facebook and everywhere else, but I think they've got reasonable position there, and they love to sort of have an investment in something that may fail, but they don't care, and sort of the ones that do well do really, really well. It's a shame to sort of see them kill things off, though. Sort of the gaming side, keep watching Stadia, the sort of their gaming subscription service. Everyone was sort of really bullish about it and buying games for the platform, and now they've sort of kind of letting it die, to be honest. But yeah, I still like Alphabet. Would probably be one of my leading sort of FANG stocks to buy, probably ahead of Apple, ahead of Amazon. Do quite like them. Well, it's a quiet night tonight. I'll maybe hang around for a couple more minutes and head off. See if there's any more questions. See what the other cryptos are up to. Bit of a ramble tonight. So my big Solana investment, yeah, sort of sneak peek at the crypto portfolio for the weekend. I've sold off 3 projects this week. So after the Tron sale, we've had Dash EOS and New Cipher all sold, and the money's gone into Solana and Crypto.com. So hoping to finally sort of get staking on Crypto.com and hopefully get the card. Did have a bit of a problem with the bank this morning though, trying to deposit on there, but hopefully that's been resolved and I can start spending the crypto card. And buying a huge amount more NFTs on Solana. Quite happy to just keep some Solana as well now, so I had about 34. Now I've got just about 70, I think. So yeah, I'll buy NFTs if I see them. But I've got about 36 just sitting there now. Yeah, so it's not like it's in cash. If I don't buy an NFT, it's in the token itself that I'm very happy to hold. So I'll buy NFTs if I see a good deal, and if not, just keep it in Solana. So all good. Okay, well, I think we'll end it there then. See you guys on Saturday and Sunday.